Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everybody. My name is MiAh the King, and inspecting mirrors is a job I could really see myself doing. Now then, today we're taking a look at a game just released on Steam called SunnySide, a farming sim, dating sim, slice of life sim taking place in the Japanese countryside. Now, I love Japan and I love Japanese culture, so I was really excited to try out this game. It was developed by Rainy Games and published by Merge Games, released not in early access and selling for $30. So, I don't know the specifics, but basically you're a young person who decides to leave the bustling city behind on a very big risk-taking adventure. You leave your older sibling behind and go off to an auction to buy a farmhouse. However, once you get there, and after you win the bid, of course, gasp! It's nothing but a giant open plot of wilderness. Oh no! Now you need to fix it up, build it up, and legitimately, in the most literal version of starting with nothing and having to build yourself up to something grand. That's the gist of the story. All of this in this new town of SunnySide. So let's proceed forward, starting off, as always, with the positives that I found in the game. So the first positive point that I really want to talk about, I don't normally start with gameplay, but that's what I want to talk about first, and we'll go into more later. But for now, I was just simply taken aback by all the details and layers to the gameplay here. I mean, not only was the player customizer incredibly extensive, and I'm talking more so than most other games out there, but it also had a lot of other intricate designs to the gameplay that you'll get to experience. I think I knew I was in for a good time when, after I finished creating my character, he pulled up a cell phone and let me take a selfie. During that, I was able to name my character, decide when I went to the farm, which season. I even got to craft an online handle ID. The dialogue options when talking to my sibling via text, the multiple cutscenes taking place here and there, each one being rather brief but still woven nicely into the gameplay to make it feel more alive. The gameplay goes on in a very realistic way of handling pretty much everything. So first off, everything you do acquires experience for something, even running, kind of like old school Oblivion, which was interesting. Then you've got several different inventory types designed to hold different stuff depending on their category. They make several in-game jokes about stuff they clearly know about. I recognize her. They even make a joke about how you ask for a watering can and the guy introducing you to your farm is all like, "What do you think this is, the Middle Ages? Just go use the hose." Which I found hilarious, and still end up using a watering pail for crops that were outside the range of the hose, but still, it was funny. The gameplay also promises a lot of interesting features like electricity and water pipes, meaning eventually I'll be able to have my own source of renewable energy and water to power and fill my estate with utilities. So I really like that idea. It kind of makes it a more modern take. You don't normally see stuff like that in farming games. It has a town that you can visit to do fun stuff in, like the movie theater and whatnot. The farming is basic but understandable, and you can't even start off with an axe to chop wood. Nope, you need to go to the mine, because the guy has an old pickaxe he gives you, grab some ore, take that ore to the blacksmith, and then you have to order an axe, give him the ore, and then he'll make it for you. It's pretty realistic. A lot of the things in this game are realistic. That's the key word of the video, realistic. It's surprisingly so. Overall, it was really interesting how they tried to blend the farming sim games that we know and love and try to make them as, well, realistic as possible. Another example of this is building stuff on your property. Now, some young guy fresh out of high school would not be able to just build a house, right? So you are given a drone by this genius tech guy in town who really wants to help out newbies like you because he wants to help revitalize the town. Anyway, so he gives you this drone which will lay blueprints out for you piece by piece and tell you exactly what you need to put it all together so you can build things. And the blueprints come from a legit retired architect. Like I said, you can tell they're trying really hard to make it all seem as realistic as they could for a game like this, and well, like I said, I make several mentions of realism because I really appreciate it. Basically, the gameplay here is freaking phenomenal. I was loving it. It's like combining Stardew Valley, My Time at Portia, and My Time at Sandrock all together, and then after combining all their good traits, they added even more good traits. Like, in terms of gameplay, I couldn't find anything wrong with it. Like, it was just great everywhere. The next positive point that I want to talk about is the user interface, the UI. It's surprisingly simple and easy to understand and navigate. That also comes with the controls and the key bindings. It is a little awkward at first because you have to click and hold the middle mouse button to pull up equipped tools, but the reasoning behind that is because of all the various different packs you have for carrying different types of items separated accordingly. But everything works almost as you'd expect, and everything is easy to read and navigate and understand, and overall fits the theme of what it is that you're playing, so I had no complaints there either. Unfortunately, however, that's all I can really say positively about the game that I feel are worth mentioning. Now I gotta go into the negatives, but before that, make sure that if you found this video entertaining or at least informative, you give my channel some love. Like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that bell. And hey, you might be thinking, You're only one person, and what good will that do? But trust me, it does a lot, and every single one of you means a lot more to me. You're not just one. All right? Thank you. Now then, on to the negatives. But I would like to point out first that a lot of these negatives are actually rather minor and barely even worth mentioning, but I felt I had to anyways because I have to stay objective. So the first one I want to talk about that's not a small negative, it's actually a big negative, is the stability. For me, the game definitely needs to be ironed out a lot. I've seen a plethora of early access games release in better stability conditions than this, and this is supposedly a fully released game, not early access. So there's really no excuse for these frame rate drops. With characters popping in and out of existence, or character models clashing in awkward and weird ways that don't make any sense. And throughout my playthrough, I was constantly met with clipping, frame rate drops, and even a few freezings. The game just isn't smooth, it isn't stable, and it definitely needs work ironing out those issues. The next negative I have is the tutorial. It's kind of bland and awful. Now, when it does pop up, it's actually decent enough. However, despite that, there are times when I really have no idea what I'm supposed to do. It told me to go to the blacksmith and order and receive an axe from him. So I went to him not knowing the mechanics of this world and how it worked because the game didn't tell me or teach me. I had the ore and I had the money and I didn't know what to do. I tried talking to him, but nothing happened, so I thought maybe I had to sell him the ore to activate it, which that wasn't it either, and I lost my ore, and so I had to reload my game, and it turns out that there's actually a service button that you need to click, which actually does do something, and then it has him make the axe for me. Frustrating. However, I did eventually get it to work, but I still had to go through all that annoying process just because the game didn't teach me the specifics of how things like that worked. It was too busy teaching me how to use my phone, which that one I could have figured out on my own. Next up for the negatives is another minor one. The game is lacking sound effects and ambiance in several places. Now, the music in the game is freaking great. I love the music, but it's pretty much the only thing you'll be listening to, so it's a good thing it's good. But the lack of ambiance in the background while you're working or running around is droll and boring, makes the world feel dead around you. And while there are sound effects for the main gameplay like chopping trees and stuff, there are moments where the game is pathetically lacking. Did I mention there's no voice acting? Kinda makes me wonder why I'm paying $30. The next negative I'd like to point out is the graphics. Now don't get me wrong, the art style itself is really nice, and I do love the art style they went with. But no one can look at me and look at this game and tell me the graphics are top tier. They're just not. My Time at Portia looks better, and that game came out like 15 years ago. Stardew Valley would look better because its graphics were actually designed to accentuate their art style. I mean, sure, it was pixelated, but still, no one looks at Stardew Valley and says that was an ugly game. Here, well, I mean, the water on the roads looks impressive, I guess. Alright, so that's all I can really think of to talk about here, both positively and negatively. Now on to my final thoughts and my recommendation. Honestly, it's really hard to review a game like this when you don't get deep enough into the game to experience all it has to offer. All I can really do is take what I see here and anticipate what will eventually come out in the rest of the game and judge the game based on what I believe is coming, right? Based on what I've been getting here. It's very, very, very rare when you see a game completely change everything about itself after you reach 2, 3, 4 hours. But honestly, I really like the idea for this game, and a lot of what the game has going for it works really well too. I love the realism, and I love the intricate nature of the gameplay, and for me, gameplay is a far bigger seller than graphics or sound design. Those were always considered a bonus to me. I really went back and forth on this and asked myself if I could see myself sinking 50 hours into this game, and honestly, I think I can. Pretty easily, actually. I'm sure it'll get patches and updates to iron out the stability issues, maybe even some DLC to add more life to the game, but I love all the NPCs hanging around, I love the world, I love the realism, I love the gameplay. It's actually a decent size and it makes sense. But I gotta say, I probably spent the majority of my playthrough doing this. I was pretty much just doing this the whole time I was playing. I really hope that I can get a car or a bike or something because there's no fast travel, and this is a very large map, and it constantly wants you going back and forth, so I'm going to need a mode of transportation here, game, soon, please. I kind of keep finding myself really wanting to build myself up, get married, and build a life in this game. I want to struggle and strive and become this big fancy farm after starting with literally nothing but a forest. And enough of this game is very well designed for me to be able to enjoy it. And when I think about its price tag and everything offered here, I can't really find an argument against its price tag. Not really. Despite the fact that it's lacking voice acting, there's so much here, and there's so much time you're going to put into this, plus replayability and everything else in here. And yeah, that $30 price tag is actually very appropriate. So yeah, I guess I kind of really liked this game, surprisingly. It is a bit slow and a bit too big and a little more complicated than I expected, but not in a way to be overwhelming or frustrating. I don't know, I really found myself liking it. It's weird. I wanted to keep playing. I lost track of time and I almost forgot to do this video. Like, I was just so sucked into it. As for my recommendation, honestly, if you like farming sim games or slice of life games, then this is a game you don't want to miss out on. There is tons of explore and tons to do here. And I've only scratched the surface of what's awaiting me here. So yes, if you're a fan of games like these and you were looking for a new one, then I would highly encourage you to check it out. It gives us what we like and what we want in games like this. Just know that going in, just know that going in, it does have stability issues. Sorry about that. I confused myself. But it does have its stability issues. So keep that in mind if you decide to play it. But it's almost like a Japanese version of My Time at Porsche, except instead in My Time at Porsche, you were a builder. Here you're like a legit farmer. But it's definitely feeling very similar, and I'm getting the same kind of feeling I got when I first played My Time at Porsche when I first started playing this. So I feel like I'm really going to end up liking this game. All right, everybody? All right, so that's all the time I got for this video. Thanks so much for watching me, with a special thanks to those of you who stuck around to the end. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I can't wait to see you all again on my next adventure. So until then, I bid you all farewell.